and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2023-24 season. My name is Dan, and today we are doing our Game Week 15 team selection video. The video where we look at my scores from last week, as well as setting up for the following game week with my transfers and captaincy. And there will be transfers this game week, I can guarantee you that. So guys, if you wouldn't mind dropping a like and maybe leaving a comment or subscribing, that would be massively appreciated. It is currently 4 AM. I'm so tired, but we need to get this video out for you guys ahead of this very, very tight deadline. So let's start off by looking at my scores from Game Week 14, and there was a disaster, a big disaster, because I did take a -4 to remove Watkins to Isaac, and that really did damage my points potential for this game week. It could have been a very, very different story and a very, very solid green arrow had I not made that transfer, and there'll be a lot of people kind of speaking with hindsight, maybe saying that was a terrible move, Dan, why on earth did you do that? But if I'm totally honest with myself, I've been looking for an excuse to buy Isaac for a while. He's a player I really wanted to get into my team, and I don't have anything on my bench to really cover a Watkins if he was unavailable. The manager himself said he was 50-50. I never thought for a minute that Watkins would play the entire 90 minutes to grab that goal at the end of the game, because it seemed like, you know, he wasn't fit to play 100% of that Bournemouth game. That is what all of the news was saying. So it was a little bit of an unexpected one. It's just one of those things that that happened. Maybe I could have been a bit more patient, but I don't think it was a bad move necessarily. But this time, just a bit of poor fortune. There was a bit of poor fortune elsewhere as well, with Diaby and Palmer being benched, but I did get the call on Taylor right. I don't think there was much in the decision between playing Taylor or Cash. I ended up going for Taylor, and I definitely got the good fortune for that move. So it wasn't all bad. The 50-50 decision between Haaland and Salah, the captaincy, that played off as well. So look, I'm not going to complain too much. Some bad things happened, some good things happened, and at the end of the day, we ended up with a green arrow. So I can't complain too much, I guess, and I am still pretty happy with my team moving forward. So let's set it up for Game Week 15 very, very soon. Because before we go and look at my Game Week 15 team, I'd love you to check out the FPL merch we are currently making. Now, last week we launched a new website, fanprints.uk, to provide you guys with personalised prints, mugs, and much more. These make great Christmas gifts for football fans, or a treat for yourself. I've already copped an FPL captain mug and a personalised Arsenal-style print, and I've also got a VAR Humbug Christmas jumper on the way too. It only dropped a few days ago, and it's already one of our best-selling items. And yesterday we also added a collection of FPL themed mugs, and a lot of time and money has gone into making these products, and I'm super proud of how everything has come out. Fanprints are shipping worldwide, so nobody is going to miss out, and FPL Mate viewers can get an exclusive 20% discount on all purchases by using code FPL Mate, all one word, at checkout. So check out fanprints.uk by clicking the link in the description or the pinned comment. It's the best way to support this YouTube channel, and you'll get something awesome in return. So unlike in FPL, everybody wins. Alright, now looking forward to my Game Week 15 team. We've got one free transfer and a decent amount of money in the bank, 1.8 million. So there's definitely moves we can make this week. Let's start off in goal with Areola, an away game against Spurs. And even in the good fixtures I say about Areola, I'm not expecting a clean sheet this week. And it seems to be a recurring theme with Areola. Do you ever expect a clean sheet from him? It's just been a constant disappointment in our FPL teams that I guess we've only picked because he's pretty cheap. Against Spurs away, you just get the impression that Son is going to do some serious damage against West Ham, and I wouldn't be surprised to see Areola come away with a 1-pointer, not even his usual 2-pointer this game week. So I'm not really too happy with this goalkeeper pick. I haven't been for some time, and I probably never will be, to be fair, but that's life. Clean sheets are an absolute blessing right now whenever they come, and it's very rare that they do come for any of your players, really. Trippier obviously did very well last game week. I was pretty confident about that pick, and I knew he would come good again eventually. It was nice to see that against Manchester United, and I think that's going to continue now with a game away against Everton. Newcastle are obviously defending really well, one of the top defenses in the league. Trippier is being super creative, taking shots from those set pieces as well, getting super close to scoring a few times. But more importantly, the constant creativity that he is providing and the assists that he's providing means that he is going to be in bonus points all the time, pretty much all the time. He's just so unique as an FPL asset. There's no one else like him in the game, and he's a great way of using up one of those those dreaded defense positions that you hate all of your defenders, but you have this one guy who is actually a gem in there, and that's exactly what Trippier is. So very, very happy with him moving forward. We've got Gabriel up next, an away game against Luton Town, and probably the best chance of a clean sheet of any team in the Premier League is Arsenal in this Luton game. So feeling pretty confident that Gabriel will not only get a start, but get a clean sheet in this game. I thought he would get a clean sheet against Wolves last game week, to be fair, and we were pretty close, but moving forward to the Luton game, there's no excuse for Arsenal not to keep a clean sheet in this one. And we're going to finish off my defence with Charlie Taylor, and I'm going to show you why when we get to my bench a little bit later. But right now, I feel like I'm backing Taylor to be my final defender. Am I super happy about this? No, not really. Am I expecting a clean sheet? No, not really either. You know, I'm not expecting clean sheets from many defenders in the entirety of FPL right now, so certainly Taylor would not be a player who I'd be super confident in, but it worked out last game week. There is an opportunity for Burnley to get occasional clean sheets, and looking through Burnley's recent numbers, their defence hasn't actually been that bad. They've been tracking actually slightly better than Manchester United recently, and slightly better than the likes of Crystal Palace. So if you think United and Crystal Palace defenders, you know, you've maybe played them against Wolves, then maybe there's an excuse to play Taylor against Wolves, I guess. I don't know. Maybe I'm talking it in, but we're probably not going to get a clean sheet there, are we, guys? Moving into midfield, we have got Mo Salah. Away game against Sheffield United. We saw Burnley beat Sheffield United 5-0 last game week, and it gets you thinking with Liverpool and their amazing attack, arguably the best attack in the Premier League. What damage could they do to Sheffield United? 6-0, 7-0, 8-0. We've seen these kind of scorelines before in the Premier League, and this seems like one of the perfect games for that to happen again in this season. So Salah and the other Liverpool attackers are probably going to get a decent amount of joy against Sheffield United, and I do think that Salah is pretty much an essential player to have for this game week. We've got Heung-min Son up next, another player I'm super confident in. Was confident in him last game week. I knew he would break the curse of his blanks, because he's just looked so good. He's looked too good to continue blanking, and against West Ham at home, I've already spoken about how I don't think West Ham are ever going to keep a clean sheet ever again in their entire Premier League careers. Maybe that's an exaggeration, but yeah, certainly Son is going to do some damage here, isn't he? Hopefully he's going to finally get a penalty as well. That would be pretty nice, so let's see what happens there. But Son, big scores again from him. He is just he's just a moment away from another haul at any given time. A hat-trick is coming soon for Son. You've heard it here first. And next up, we've got Brian Mbeumo, my purchase last game week, and he only got 5 points, unfortunately, but moving forward, maybe we can hope for a bit more. It was nice to see him rested at the end of the game, which means we are confident he is going to continue to start in this Brentford team, being that nailed-on man. Yeah, no fitness issues or concerns there whatsoever, and of course, he is a penalty merchant as well. But against Brighton haven't kept very many clean sheets in a long time. I think it's at least 10 game weeks since we last saw a Brighton clean sheet. So maybe Mbeumo is going to be a player who can do some damage there as well. I think we're all confident Mbeumo owners, aren't we, right now? So happy with that one. We've got Diaby up next. A rest in game week 14, which I guess is a positive for his minutes moving forward. But I do worry with the likes of Zaniolo coming back to fitness. We've got Ramsey coming back into fitness. We've also got Bailey, who is playing actually quite well, genuinely really well at the moment. And, you know, where is Diaby fitting in? Is he nailed on anymore? The answer is probably no. And when you combine the fact that he's not nailed on with these tough fixtures, is he a player that we might be considering selling? Maybe. I think we probably are considering selling him. I mean, I thought about doing it last game week, ended up keeping him, and I think I've got to think about it again with these next 3 fixtures. They're really tough ones. I don't think Diaby is a must sell necessarily, and if you have other areas in your team that are problematic, so for me, for example, my defense, maybe that's the area I need to actually focus on, then I think it's okay to keep Diaby for this game week, considering that Man City are going to be lacking Rodri, and they're conceding a decent amount of goals anyway, Man City. So, you know, Aston Villa, they could score a goal or two. I kind of feel like Man City are not going to be keeping a clean sheet this game week. And finally, in this team, we've got Cole Palmer. Again, another player rested. There was a minor issue there, but it's nothing to worry about moving forward. The good thing is that he was rested as a precaution, which means he should be good to go and play regularly from here on out. out. Nkunku's still not ready, so I don't think there's any rotation risk there in particular. There's also no Gallagher, which I think improves Palmer's chances of minutes as well. So hopefully, in this Manchester United game, we're going to get another Palmer penalty. We almost got one last game week. He got subbed on right after the penalty was taken. But this game week, he's going to be back starting and taking those penalties. So please give me more penalty luck, Cole Palmer, because you've been so good at it so far this season. Up front, we've got Erling Haaland. Of course, we have Aston Villa are obviously expected to score against City, but you wouldn't be surprised if City scored against Aston Villa this week as well. I actually think that Haaland was a little bit unlucky last game week to not score any goals. He got super close a couple of times, had some really nice opportunities to score, and then there was the whole assist thing at the end of the game, but the less is said about that, probably the better, to be honest. But we need to move on. We've got this Aston Villa fixture up next. It's not a bad fixture. It's not the best fixture, but it's okay. I would still imagine Haaland gets a goal in this game. You know, he's always good for at least one goal in a game, right? And finally, we've got Isak, who is a player I brought in last game week. I am going to be totally honest with you guys. I am regretting this decision a little bit. Not just because, obviously, Watkins scored a load of points and Watkins was the player that I sold, but Wilson is supposedly back in training this week, and I don't think Wilson is going to be available necessarily for game week 15, but by the time we get to 16, 17, we could see Wilson starting to eat into the minutes of Isak a little bit, and that does worry me, that does concern me a little bit, and understandably so, because Isak, we know he's brilliant when he's on the pitch and when he's playing, but when he is at a minute's risk, suddenly he does become a much worse FPL asset, and maybe, you know, I thought Wilson would be out for a little bit longer. All the signs, all the reports said he would be, but apparently Wilson is feeling a little bit better and looking stronger and really aiming to be back within the next week or so. So Isak might be a slightly shorter term player than I thought he would be, which is really annoying, but hey, another one of those things in FPL, and the way we deal with these situations is what defines us as FPL managers, right? But this game week, the game against Everton, it's a fairly decent fixture. Newcastle in fantastic goal scoring form in general all season. Isak on penalties as well. There's still lots to love about this player in the short term whilst he still is getting those minutes. So yeah, fingers crossed for a little bit of retribution from last game week's mistake transfer, I guess. So yeah, maybe he can pay me back this week. Let's see, I guess. Now going on to my bench, I've got Turner, who obviously doesn't play anymore. We've got Cash against City. I do think Cash is going to start in that game, but am I confident he's going to get any points? Not really. Maybe you could see an attacking return if you're lucky, but there's not going to be a clean sheet there for Aston Villa, realistically, is there? So I think Cash is the player to bench rather than Taylor. We've got Mubama there as well, not expecting too many minutes from him. And the most frustrating thing of all is Ait-Nouri is still not going to be available for this Burnley game. And I bought him a few weeks ago to rotate in for this exact game week. Well, this game week and next game week. I bought him so I didn't have to worry about Cash. I didn't have to worry about Taylor. I could just play Ait-Nouri against Burnley. How sweet that would have been if I was able to play Ait-Nouri against Burnley this game week. That would have been absolutely brilliant. It would have made my team so much better, and I'd have less defensive issues to deal with. But again, one of those things. How are we going to deal with it? Well, we're going to have to move forward and try and figure this one out. It's a tough game, FPL, but that's why we love it. So, with that said, we've got a few players that we are probably able to sacrifice. Areola, of course, I'm willing to sacrifice this player. I've been willing to sacrifice him for pretty much the entire time I've owned him. So yeah, at some point we're going to have to get rid of him. So he is very much on the chopping block. Diaby, like I mentioned, I think he is a pretty easy player to sell right now, given that in the future we're expecting rotation, plus the tough fixtures. So overall, I don't think he's a good long-term pick. And Isak, I know it's controversial. I know we only just brought him in and for a hit as well. But sometimes you've just got to own your mistakes and accept them. And don't be too proud. Don't be too stubborn and say, look, this transfer is not quite gone the way I hoped it would. Things have gone wrong. Things have changed. The situation has changed. Do I have to deal with this situation? Maybe not this game week, but it's certainly a player I would be willing to sacrifice if I could find a forward that I would be comfortable bringing in. And I think that is probably the bigger problem here. Of course, on my bench, I think I'll be willing to sacrifice everyone on my bench as well, because we've got some problems here. Turner's not playing. Mubama is not playing. I guess I could upgrade him to someone who could maybe cover me in game week 18. What I'm going to have to bench Haaland there. So maybe improving the strength of my bench in that third forward slot might be beneficial. We've got Cash bad fixtures, maybe a bit of rotation risk there as well. And Nori, who is just straight up injured, hopefully will be back for game week 16, but there's no guarantee for that either. So maybe Nori, that is just a mistake I need to correct as well. I say mistake, really unfortunate injury. I guess that one can't really be helped, but at the same time, it is something that I might have to deal with. So there's lots of players I think I would be willing to sacrifice. Thankfully, most of them are on my bench, and my starting 11 I actually think is pretty strong. It is almost exactly where I want it to be, but not quite. So there are a couple of players I want to add to this team to make it the perfect team, the exact FPL team that I want. I want to get that perfect team, you know? So here are my transfer targets. So goalkeepers, straight up Dubravka. Spoken about him on this channel so much over the last couple of days. So if you want the full breakdown on why Dubravka is so brilliant and why I'm not personally worried about Dubravka, I think he's a fantastic pick. I particularly recommend you go and check out the stream from yesterday. Yeah, streamed last night, went into quite a lot of detail about Dubravka and why he is a great pick. If you want that detail about why he's brilliant, then go and watch that, but he really is brilliant. For defenders, Saliba obviously is always a target, as is Zinchenko. Arsenal defenders are always good to get. My concern with Arsenal defenders is they've got the Luton Town game, and after that, the fixtures, particularly from a defensive point of view, actually don't look very good. I think Arsenal probably, concede goals in each of their games after the Luton games. So is it worth going in on these other Arsenal defenders, or should I just stick with what I've got? I know a lot of people will probably be looking to sell one of their Arsenal defenders next game week. So should I be buying them? I'm not sure. We've got Pedro Porro there, who I genuinely do like, really creative, and Spurs have got some decent fixtures coming up. I think although the clean sheets aren't as likely with Spurs, the creativity you're going to get, the set pieces you're going to get from Pedro Porro does maybe make up for that. And Simicast, rotation risk, but you know, for his price, he's pretty decent as well. Would I be willing to go there? I'm not sure. These are the defenders I've got my eye on, but am I super confident in buying any of them? Not really. I guess you could also add the likes of maybe Livramento and Fabian Schär to my defensive targets, but with Dubravka in there and already 2 Newcastle slots used up, I just can't see myself ever going for another Newcastle defender when I could get Dubravka instead at 4 million, you know, nailed on for the next month at absolute minimum, and possibly for the next 5 months nailed on. That would just be amazing, and I wouldn't be willing to use a Newcastle slot on anyone else. For midfielders, we've got Saka here. Obviously a player I've been targeting for a long while. He's been consistently on my transfer targets list, but I've never really had an opportunity to pick him up. It would be really nice to get him ahead of the Luton Town game. And unlike the fixtures for the defenders, I think the following fixtures do suit Arsenal for their attackers a little bit more than they suit the defenders. So actually, not so concerned about going for an Arsenal attacker compared to an Arsenal defender, if that makes sense. We've got Gordon here as well. Obviously, a great pick. Again, Dubravka versus Gordon, which one would I rather go for? Probably leaning towards Dubravka at the moment because he is such a gift. And I've got a couple of forwards here just to try and find someone I'm interested in. Solanke looks good at the moment. Bournemouth in general look good at the moment. And I kind of like Semenyo for a bench defender as well. Maybe I could move Mubama to Semenyo. I think that could possibly work. But yeah, not sure it's a priority. I don't think the forward moves are a priority. The priority really is defenders, maybe midfielders, maybe goalkeepers, depending more on who I actually am passionate about getting in. And the players I'm most passionate about getting into my team would probably be, at this point, Dubravka and Saka. So I think I've got 3 options really, and all of them involve making a transfer. I can't see myself rolling this week at all. So option A is to sort out my defence, removing cash and probably bringing in Pedro Porro. I've got plenty of money in the bank, so I could do that. But the question is, do I really want to be spending more money on my defence when I'm pretty much accepting that defenders are useless, other than Kieran Trippier, obviously? And the answer to that is, maybe, is it worth it making a defensive transfer? Are any defensive transfers worth it at the moment? It seems in general, again, unless it's Trippier, no one's really benefiting from transfers in the defensive positions recently, so maybe there's no point in doing that. I can do the goalkeeper switch. Areola to Dubravka makes a lot of sense. I could even do Turner to Dubravka there as well if I wanted to. Again, I would be really improving my goalkeeper situation that I've been fed up with for quite some time, and you know, I get the gift of Dubravka, a cheaper player. I actually gain money from making this move and improve my team at the same time. So both of these first options definitely improve my team, but one involves losing money and one involves gaining money, I guess. And finally, we've got one more option, and that is Areola and Diaby to Dubravka and Saka. And this looks like the kind of transfer move that could pay off in just one game week. And I know it involves taking another -4 back-to-back weeks, and probably a lot of people say, you shouldn't take back-to-back hits in your FPL team, but I don't know, is this a good exception? I mean, look at it. Areola, not expect, 1 point expected from him. Dubravka, I can see him keeping a clean sheet, so that would be, more than 4 points gained immediately. Diaby moving to Saka at the same time. Diaby against City, Saka against Luton. You get the impression that just in one game week only, this transfer move will pay off the -4 hit and improve my team significantly at the same time for the longer term. So in many ways, it makes a lot of sense. Now, unfortunately for me, I only have 1.8 million in the bank, and to make these transfer moves today, I would need 2 million in the bank. So I'm 0.2 million short. So, what are we going to do about that one, guys? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to thank myself 2 days ago. Thank my past self, because I already made these transfers before the price changes to Dubravka and Saka. Before those guys raised in price, I already made these moves. So I've already made my transfers. Show Team Gang, you're lucky, lucky guys, because this is my team. This is my final team for Game Week 15, because I already made those transfers. And now with Saka involved and Dubravka involved, this team looks almost perfect. It's just that one final defender slot, my third defender slot, that is the problem area right now. The rest of this team is just phenomenal. I absolutely love it. Maybe Isak will need to deal with in a couple of weeks. But aside from that, we have got, literally, guys, 7 penalty takers in the front line. Yes, 7 penalty takers. So if there's a penalty, just one penalty this game week, there's like a 70% chance that I'm the beneficiary of that. And finally, we do need to talk about captaincy. So let's throw the captain's armband on Salah. Pretty obvious to me, actually, with this Sheffield United game. Expecting a lot of goals from Liverpool here. And Heung-min Son is going to get the vice-captaincy. Yeah, I actually think Son is a slightly better option this week than Haaland. I'm expecting pretty good things from him against West Ham, and wouldn't even mind him for a differential captain, if you really want to go different. But I think this week is just not a week I'm willing to take that risk, so Salah will be my guy. So with that said, let's have a look at the Fantasy Football Hub AI recommendations, just to see if there's any other moves I could have made, just for fun, I guess. Okay, so according to the Fantasy Football Hub My Team tool, well, the one thing has been confirmed, and that is that Taylor is probably the player to play ahead of Cash. Matty Cash only 1.8 predicted points against Man City in Game Week 15, and Taylor's actually got 3 predicted points against Wolves. That's not too bad, really, is it? I don't mind that too much. So, yeah, maybe there is some argument to play a Charlie Taylor this game week. Maybe it could work out, to be fair. Let's see what kind of transfers that the tool would recommend for me. Okay, it's saying to do Diaby to Gordon, and I can definitely understand why. I think Gordon will outscore Diaby quite significantly over the next few game weeks, but it's definitely good to get an idea and an impression from the AI tool, because believe it or not, the AI team for the season is inside the top 100k right now. So yeah, maybe we could learn a few things from their recommendations. Of course, if you want to check out these recommendations for your team, for yourself, make sure you use the link in the description. The Fantasy Football Hub tools are, free to try out, and there's always a link in the description for you guys to check out if you want to. So yeah, that's what they're saying for me, but too bad, I've already made my moves. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you wouldn't mind dropping a like and subscribe, like I said, it is now 20 past 4 in the morning for me. So yeah, a few more hours to edit this video, and hopefully we'll get it out for the morning if I don't fall asleep before then. But there we go. Make sure you do check out Fan Prints. The link is at the top of the description, and it's a great way of supporting the channel. But aside from that, guys, feel free to check out another video right here, and I'll see you on the deadline stream for Game Week 15. See you later, mates. Bye-bye.